Welcome folks, thanks for tuning in for another video. So this is a continuation of the new player series. So for the purpose of today, what I'm hoping to cover is Curious Dungeon. So this is unlocked for me because of the level I'm up to, and Mount White Ragon, which is unlocked from last time because I finished this scenario section beforehand. So I'm going to firstly click on the scenario, the dungeon, sorry. So I click on that, and as you can see, I've got various dungeons to access. Giant Dungeon, Dragon Dungeon, Necropolis Dungeon, Secret Dungeon, which currently has nothing in there. I'll talk about it a little bit later. Hall of Magic, and Hall of Wind. Now, Giants, Dragons, and Necropolis drop runes. They're the main reason you farm them, is for runes. So we've talked about runes before. You know, energy we've so far covered, fatal we've so far covered, blade we've so far covered. Now in the case of giants, that drops energy, it drops fatal runes, and drops blade runes. So why would I go here to get them and not continue in scenario? Because in the long run, giants, if you can get all the way up to level 10, they will give you the best runes. The runes that you get in scenario are nothing compared to the runes that you will possibly get from doing these dungeon runs. Okay, so it's important to remember this is where you're going to go later down the track to get those runes. Early game, not so much, but it's good to be aware of. Dragons drops rarer runes than giants, and Necropolis again tends to be the next progression up above that. So giants are the runes that you'll get in the giants. So I'm going to hit the drop information box there. It's not going to load anything apparently. So as you can see on giants, if I click on that, so energy we talked about, fatal we talked about, blade we talked about, swift. Swift is an important rune. We're going to talk about that a little bit further in the scenario because that's farmable in the scenario that we're about to do for today's video. And despair, which you can't get in scenario at all. So that's a rune that you desperately want to grab from giants. Okay, swift is probably the next best, and then despair. Now that's the point of farming giants. Now dragon, we'll click on that one, has violent. Violent is a set of runes you cannot get in the scenario. So, and they tend to be one of the most wrong and broken runes in the game. In fact, many a player has, I think, threatened to throw their tablet or device across the room because of violent proccing, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. Focus is farmable in the scenario, guard is farmable in the scenario, and endure is farmable in the scenario, shield is farmable in the scenario, and so is revenge. So as you can see, most of those I can get in the scenario. Nowhere near to the level of what we're talking about here when I get into the later stage of the dragon, but violent is the unique. And then Necropolis, I'm going to click on that. Rage, you cannot get in the scenario. So that is a rune that is, I guess, the main reason you farm Necropolis. It's for those rage runes. Will is scenario. Nemesis, you can get in scenario. Vampire, you can get in scenario. Destroy, you can get in scenario. So as you can see, each one of these has sort of a rune that you can't get anywhere else but there. And then on top of that, the runes that you get will be of better quality, so to speak. Hall of Magic and Hall of Wind is what you need to awaken your monsters. So let's just do Hall of Magic pretty quick. You don't need to worry about runes at this point again. You don't need to worry about that. As you can see, a big difference here is I'm allowed to take 5 creatures. Now, a creature I'm going to take is this guy, the Water Garuda, because I'm going to build him too, because he's good. So I'm just going to do that. And let it auto again. And you'll get various rewards from the Hall of Magic. So you can get scrolls, you can get transmog tokens or stones, but the main reason you want this is essence. Okay, and this is general essence. This dungeon is generally for general essence. You'll get fire essence here as well wind and water, but generally you want the general essence, and you need that to awaken your monsters. Okay, so I've got summoning stone. Yeah, I got only another 49 of them to collect. Plus 5 crisps. And then, oh no, challenge completed. What did I complete? I've got completed an achievement. And that's, let's click on that. And let's click on that. Might as well collect them. Why not? Now, let's talk about essence. So, as you can see, I got Vampire Lord. Now, if I go Awaken, you can see that I need a whole range of things. I'm nowhere near being able to awaken this guy. But I can get 12 high Dark Essence, 15 medium Dark Essence, 10 high Magic Essence, and then 15 medium Magic Essence, and I can awaken him. And when you awaken him, one of the strengths, they'll go, it gets a new look, it gets a name, as opposed to just Vampire Lord. It will actually have a name. In this case, I'm not going to try and pronounce that, I'll probably kill it. Uga, and one of his skills strengthens up. So, bonus, yeah? So awakening is a key part of the game. It's always better for the monster when you awaken them. So Hall of Magic and the other attributes are actually semi-important to farm. Okay? Now, let's go into the scenario for today, which is my Mount White Ragon. Yep, click on that. Go away. Now, again, I'm going to use my Vampire Lord. You should still be able to farm this without runes, without reps, until the boss stage, actually. Okay? So, Magic Knight, Water Fairy, Light Garuda, and Light Elven Ranger will be able to get through this unruined until you get to the boss, in which case I would recommend you using your first rep in that fight. Okay? So let's just get this one. Now, so what's like all the other scenarios, remember 7 stages, 7th is the boss, 6 the stages building up to the boss. Stage 1 will give you a rune slot 1 for the rune associated with this part of the scenario, 2 will give you slot 2, 3 will give you slot 3, 4 will give you slot 4, etc. This section of the scenario is probably going to be one of the most commonly farmed sections for newer players, because the rune it will drop is incredibly useful. And the runes it drops is Swift. Now what does Swift mean? Swift means that if you get, it's a 4 set, which means as long as 4 out of your 6 runes is Swift, they will get the Swift bonus. And the Swift bonus is 25% increase in the creature's speed. This is important. Why? Because in later game, you're going to find out speed is very important to keep up in PvP environments, player versus player environments. Because player versus player environments, generally speaking, the one who moves first has the advantage. Now, there are ways around that, I'm not going to talk about it too much, but the fact is speed is important in this game. Oh, level 7. So speed is important, and Swift is an important section. So what I would recommend is once you've gone through the whole scenario once, I'd come back here, go through this stage of the scenario, finish it on medium. If you need reps help, use it, and then finish it on the hardest level of difficulty, and then can just farm the heck out of the boss stage of this scenario. And if you still need reps help, use the reps, because the Swift runes you get from this will help you, even though they are, as I keep saying, basic compared to what you can get in Giants or in the dungeons. It's still an important part of progression. And Swift, I always say to players, because Violence is used quite a lot for a lot of monsters, both support monsters and attack style monsters. Don't hesitate to use Swift in the interim to before Violence. So for example, like Garuda there, I normally see him either runed Swift or Violent. Now Swift sometimes in later game, because sometimes it's good to have him go first, but Violent works just as well. But if you can't get Violent, Swift will do. So Swift often can be the leading up to Violent runes, but also Swift has its purpose, and that is sometimes it's good to have Swift on monsters that you want to go first, so that they can set up something. So case in point, if you notice just then with my Vampire Lord, he went first and he did his skill, which increased their attack. So those little blue things are buffs, and one of them is an increase in attack stat, and the other one allows them to drain life. That's actually only a new buff that just came out in the last update. Okay, so sometimes Swift is useful for setting up, getting ahead, etc. So do not underestimate Swift is, I guess, a first tip I did when I first started. Underestimate Swift. I learnt the hard way that was a bad idea. Very useful stat to have. And it's actually one of the few, because most things when it comes to increasing speed isn't done on percentage, it's done on a flat number. Yeah, so slot 2, which can be speed as its main stat, is flat. But Swift is a percentage, so sometimes you'll get monsters up there with a base speed of 100. Yeah, so when they wear Swift, they get plus 25 points of speed to that. Now, the Water Magic Knight there, I think her base speed's low 90s. So, it doesn't sound like much, but every little bit counts in this game when it comes to speed. So, probably not the best runes to use on the Water Magic Knight. But on other creatures, it is very useful indeed. Okay. Now, that Vampire Lord isn't on Swift. He's moving fast because the runes, he's got a decent quality runes, all 6-starred runes that came with him. So he has increase in speed because slot 2 is speed. Yeah. But I could imagine he could work on Swift. I'd much rather keep him on Fatal, which is what he's actually on, Fatal Energy. So Fatal, 4 set, increase attack stat by 35%. And Energy, 2 set, increases HP by 15%. Okay, almost finished this there. Almost there. A bit of lagging going on. I apologise for that, guys. Don't know what's happening today. Okay, almost finished the stage of the scenario. Maybe I've got too many devices going at once. While I'm doing this, I'm actually farming in my second account. So they say you can't do 2 things at once. I beg to differ. Although technically they're all autoing. So now, because I'm going to play this, I have an advantage that I've got the Vampire Lord there, but because I'm going to play this from the perspective of if I was new, I'm going to tell you the next part of this scenario, you start using your reps. So, alright, yes, no, the boss stage, sorry, I should have been using it already. So the boss stage here, I'd be using a rep. At this point in the game, you wouldn't be able to do what my Vampire Lord just did, you know? Okay. Yeah, so, I mean, here we go. Swift rune. I'm actually going to keep that one. It's a 3-star. Not fantastic, but it's a good start. So I'm going to keep that rune. But that stage, that boss stage there, I would have suggested for a new player using a rep. Now, my reward, 30,000 mana, stones, and 30 energy. To be honest, that's not that fantastic. I'm not. It's good, but it's not exciting. Alright, let these guys talk it out a bit. And that will be the 4th episode done. I won't talk for too much longer. Alright guys, so thank you for tuning in. I hope it was useful, and I'll see you in the next video.